I'm SP from Better Podcasting, a show dedicated to help make your podcast better, and it is part of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other insightful and wonderful geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
And welcome to Play Comics, where once again, we're looking at a video game based on a comic property and how well it represents that source material. And today, we are just taking an adventure out on the high seas, which is not the illegal thing that you're thinking of when I would normally say that, but also maybe kind of is, because we're looking at One Piece Grand Battle Rush, and I can't look at One Piece by myself, because first off, that would be against the whole point of the show, and second off, there's a lot of One Piece, so that would just be insane. So I have Janine Juliette here from Domain Dawn just to help us out with all this. Janine, how are you today?
I am fantastic.
So we have to address the elephant in the room, and the elephant's name is Steve. So how far into One Piece are you?
I don't remember the exact episode number, but we've just arrived at Fishman Island. So it's pretty deep, but only a little bit into the time skip. And I think about 500 episodes. So I want to say it's the midpoint, but this baby's got legs, so it would not surprise me if it went on for like another 5 years while it's trying to wrap up.
For anybody who has not heard me talk about One Piece or has heard me talk about One Piece here on the show and thought that I was completely joking that we were on episode 6 or 7 or 800, somewhere in there, no, we are being completely serious, because One Piece is a manga and anime that has been going for, I believe the technical term is forever, it seems like. And so what is it that has sucked you into this beautiful world of pirates and anti-government works?
Well, to be honest, I first did get into it because Luke came up to me with an idea for a podcast where we'll just watch The Simpsons and One Piece and cast characters of One Piece from characters that we've seen so far in The Simpsons. Which was a great idea until I found out exactly how many episodes of One Piece there were. And, I've got no idea. I had no idea what to expect. And getting into it, I feel like that what really struck me was just the found family narrative and extreme distaste for the government. Like, that is like 6 out of 7 of my days in a week. Just going through that.
Are you just asleep all day on the 7th day?
Yeah. I mean, on the 7th day I rested.
Well, I mean, that tracks, because, I mean, One Piece, there's a reason why it is the anime that Kaylee and I have continually decided that we are going to watch no matter what. It is I've been having a bad day and I need to watch something that isn't going to take a bunch of brain power show. It is also I've had a really good day and I want to watch pirates wail on the government show. And I mean, it is essentially Bluey for older people in that sense.
I can see that. I mean, there have been some very, very cathartic moments that I do revisit every once in a while. When I've decided that they haven't hurt me enough, so I have to go through it again.
Marine Forge. Luke was also the one who sucked me into One Piece. He pulled me into your show, and that was the first time that I had experienced anything with One Piece. Like, I knew it existed. I knew it was a popular thing. I knew that I should know what it was, but I didn't jump into anything until watching it to come on your show. And Luke, I love you and hate you for that.
You might be the first person who's guessed it that actually continued to watch One Piece. I think there might be another or a couple at most, but yeah, I can understand the reasons that other people have given to why they wouldn't start it. You know, the length, the tone, just Luffy in general. But I'm really glad that you stuck with it. What was it that really stood out to you that made you want to go in it for the long haul?
I mean, like you, there's the found family part. There's just the part where they're going to go out and have the adventure that they're going to have and do what needs to be done. And also Princess Vivi.
Oh yeah.
I just think she's really cool and I want her to come back.
Me too.
I mean, the cast of characters for the show is insane. I feel like for anybody here who hasn't experienced One Piece, we should probably finally explain what it is. Essentially, what you have in One Piece is there's this kid who decides he's going to go be the Pirate King. And so he's going off to find a MacGuffin, which you might think that I'm crazy for calling it that. But the dude making it still doesn't know what the One Piece is. Like almost 30 years later, I think that's how time works. It is the definition of let's fill out your story arc, but they do it in such fun ways that it doesn't matter, and I love it.
I don't know what else I could be able to add to that. I mean, it both it'll make you laugh, but it'll also find ways to hurt you. And you could be able to think that you're above it because, you know, you don't normally watch shonen anime and like it is so pedestrian and for kids, like literally made, you know, for the 13 to some young adult demographic. But no, like Bluey, like it'll find a way. And like you'll relate to something on a character and they'll say that they want to live and it'll be like the one thing that'll like make you want to live. I don't know. It'll get you emotionally.
It's crazy how you have these characters where it's just like you see them and they're being standoffish, and I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to tell you why because my fate is sealed and nothing is ever going to happen. And then you learn just one little fact about them. And all of a sudden it's, oh, you poor baby. I just want to hold you and make everything better. I mean, going in here and like, I have a doctor who just wants to go help everybody. But I want to be a doctor because the person who saved me was a doctor. And then that person died going to help everybody else. And so me going to help everybody else is my way of remembering him. And like, how do you not like something like that? That can go from the ultimate silliest thing in the entire world to Jurassic Park in about half a second.
It's weird, but you know, that's there's so much of it, One Piece, I mean, that it finds ways to meander into different things. And some of it's gonna piss you off. This is a fair, like, warning right now that there's gonna be, like, a couple of things in there that, I know for me personally kind of get me, but I don't know. It's still kind of worth it. It's like, I don't know, a stepdad in that way.
I've never had one of those, so I have no frame of reference.
Okay.
But I'm going to assume you're right.
I feel like I am.
When you say things annoy you, are you thinking like story arcs or total fan service or what?
Characterizations. There are some people that have certain traits that can be very grating for some people. Whether it's Sanji's horniness or Zoro's ability to get lost almost as if on purpose, but always on accident. You know, there's just like, everybody has a chance to be kind of an idiot every now and then. And they're gonna. And the thing is that even Luffy will have moments where he's just like kind of rude, But I don't know, like, it's not enough that makes me just, like, want to completely turn away from it. It's just something that you understand that you have to endure in order to get to something that's better. Kind of like a stepdad.
One Piece really needs the Dragon Ball Kai treatment in some ways to just condense things, get rid of some filler parts of episodes. Like, Kaylee and I will joke that one of the reasons we'll watch it when we just need a brain dead day is because half the show is either recapping or pre-capping something that's going to happen later. And it's great. But also, I mean, if you can just squish everything together, there's like a third of the runtime right there taken care of. You have, let's go off on a side quest and see something, and then that's like 6 episodes later, you realize you've wasted 3 hours doing something else when you should be being an adult. You have characters that continually make the same mistake over and over, like you were just saying. I can't remember if you have met some other characters that are going to equally annoy you for some of the same reasons, because we're a lot further than you are. And there is just nothing, I think, that will keep me from coming back to this show, short of finding out that, like, the creator is just a total Nazi or something.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's a good hard limit.
And so as we're looking here at this game, I want to make sure that we really hit on some of the characters we get in here. And I'm doing it on this part just because I feel like it. Obviously, you have Luffy, who is the red-shirted Straw Hat guy, for all the people who don't watch this.
He was there on, what was he? He was on the Thanksgiving Day parade?
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
They did have a collaboration with, like, the Lakers, I think.
Well, that's a sentence I never thought I'd heard, and my brain is completely broken. So, on that note, I'm going to drop some promos for a few other things while I try to collect my brain.
Hey there everyone, I'd like to tell you about the YouTube channel I Am Your Target Demographic. If you're a fan of comics, we have plenty that you'll enjoy over there, including a series called Heroes Like Us that explores comic characters of all sorts of different identities. And we even have a series that defines words that are used in nerd culture that you may not know what they mean. So you can check us out by heading to YouTube and searching I Am Your Target Demographic, or look up IAYTD on any social media outlet.
Hi, I'm Eric, host of the Long Box Review podcast. I love comic books so much that I started Long Box Review to celebrate my love for them and connect with others who share my passion. Each month, I critique the comics I've read and present other topics, such as spotlights on specific issues, my comics history, the Legion Project with Peter Rios, where we discuss the Legion of Superheroes, and so much more. Additionally, the Long Box Review podcast feed includes The Gutters, my audio journal, and Center Seat, my Star Trek podcast. The Long Box Review website also examines comic books outside of the podcast, such as the series 52, Justice, and others. Please join me as I celebrate nearly 50 years of comic book reading and over 15 years of podcasting. You can visit longboxreview.com for more information. And thanks for listening.
Those are some great things to check out. First, let's finish up here. So, Janine, what is bringing us together here today is this March 2005 release, One Piece Grand Battle Rush. Or if you were in Japan and you were getting the good end of all of this, Grand Battle 4. Grr, that this is our first one. This came out on the PS2 and the GameCube, made by Ganbarion and Bandai. And what we have here is kind of in the Dragon Ball Z mold of fighting games. It's a fighting game that is kind of taking you through the manga and anime.
Is that what it's doing? I mean, it feels that it was kind of,
Well, it's doing that more than the usual fighting game thing of, hey, there's characters and they fight.
Well, I feel like that there had been other anime fighting games that followed through a story that were definitely much longer of a story mode and more involved, but there are also fighting games that have larger casts and more arcs to go off of.
And didn't pull the Final Fantasy thing of here is a game further along in the series, and we're going to give it a lower number for the American releases. Yeah, this one is weird because over here, it is the first One Piece game that came out, but it is at least the fourth One Piece game to come out just overall. That's just something that we're just going to have to deal with over here. Unless somebody really desperately wants to, I'm not going to go back and look at those older One Piece Grand Battle games because they didn't come out here in America, and that's just how the show works. But you at least have a good cast on this one.
You know, it was very funny for me going through this, because I had saw that, because the US dub at the time, the 4Kids dub, was not as far along as the game is in Japan, that certain things had to be cut and changed so that it could be able to fit a little bit closer to what the US dub at the time was doing. But they still had a couple of characters that had yet to debut that did show up. And it was so weird to be able to see this almost called shot prediction of what these characters were going to be before they actually were completely fleshed out. Particularly for Miss Sunday, Nico Robin. It's so amazing because it feels like Peekaboo. If you don't know, before Meryl was given a localized name, the Pokemon Meryl, there was speculation what that name would be, and the top runner was Peekaboo because it looked like a Pikachu but blue. And it got so popular that when the Topps Trading Card Company released the trading cards for the movie, for the first movie, it included the Pikachu's Vacation, which had Meryl but did not have a localized name yet, and is referenced in official Pokemon branded merchandise as being Peekaboo. So I felt like that when seeing them put Ms. Sunday in a southern accent, because she has a cowboy hat. Because that is such a called shot, because they wouldn't know that she's going to have other outfits and would never have a cowboy hat ever again. And that was just not that strong of a thing.
And we're not talking a few episodes here. We're talking 100 or so episodes behind where the anime was in Japan. This is plenty of time to where if something was going to happen, it would have happened. Plenty of time to where it's just weird. Why would you release this game over here in the US and not something from earlier in the Grand Battle series? I mean, obviously, you're not releasing one of the earlier Grand Battle games because they're PS1 games and this is PS2, and they don't want to put out a PS1 game. They don't want to upscale it for PS2 and everything. But it's just weird. This is forcing somebody to jump straight into Return of the Jedi.
I think it should be studied, really, in just the weird ways that it bent itself to try to be something that was a little bit better than, I don't know. I was going to say that it ought to be, but honestly, no, I think that basically with how much was left over after what they cut, it did kind of deserve the kind of reviews that it did get, because it did feel a lot more bare, and it feels like it would have been able to be padded out a lot more if some of the things were left in. And I don't know. I'm just really curious about the decisions they made on what that they did cut, and, and why the things that were left in were made that way,
It's really interesting choices in there. I mean, like you said, it is just, why are you forcing to make this thing work? It's weird. And as you come in through all of this, it's you have, the first Grand Battle game came out in 2001. Okay. Very strongly in the PS1 era, and that's hitting the early days of the anime. That makes sense why you're not putting that out on PS2. Grand Battle 2, 2002. All right, same deal. Grand Battle 3. I mean, even Grand Battle 3, if you had done that, that was 2003 and came out on the PS2. Not over here, but it did. So you could have done that and gotten earlier in the anime if you needed to do it that way. Also, 2003, you could have just put out those PS1 games and been fine. So their choice to go straight into Grand Battle 4 is an interesting one. And I'm sure that some of it had to do with like where it was in just American popularity and everything. But it's always weird to me when you bring over a franchise in different spots for different mediums.
Yeah, I don't think that there's really, I don't know. There was not a comfortable way to make this game. At least not how they wanted it to be made. And making something playable that was released earlier, I don't know. I think it would have been packaged better, and the leap between the systems, I think it would have been fine, even if it did play like it was like not as good. Or really, like, still, PS1 games were still coming out at this time. Like, it wouldn't be that bad. I don't know. I'm trying to rationalize and trying to convince CEOs from like so long ago that have probably certainly retired or died by now. Or both. Did you know this game was reviewed on XPlay?
Yes, we watched that earlier, and I don't want to defend this game too much because it is weird, but also I don't think she knew about One Piece at all.
I mean, so would like a lot of other people. They did say that the kind of people that would be playing this game a lot would just be like the fans of the franchise, because that's really kind of who it was made for. I feel like if it was given all of the things that it was missing, it would be able to be a game that broke its own, like, it would break containment, so to speak, and, you know, be a good game as a game without having to think about, like, if it is a good One Piece game. But, you know, I did agree with this idea that, like, they called it cutesy. And I was like, well, One Piece isn't cutesy, it's cool and also obnoxious. And that's fine. But, you know, looking at this game, it kind of really just hit that, like, yeah, I can see that it does kind of give off that vibe, especially with how everything is dubbed, which is poorly, IMHO. But that also gives it a little bit of charm. There were terrible dubs in the early 90s and early 90s, late 90s. It was a while. It was a time, and One Piece fell in that time. And I don't know. I always found it charming, you know, the ability to try something and not quite get it, except what it is adding English voices to a Japanese cartoon and trying to sync up mouth flaps and trying to localize Japanese cuisine so that onigiri becomes donut.
I mean, they also chibified everything like crazy, which, I mean, looking at the art style, they definitely could have pulled off a more accurate to One Piece art style. But I also don't hate the chibi that they did with everything, so that's cool. I'm fine with that.
It definitely fits with the minigame mode, which is, it's the Davy back fight, but, you know, different minigames and always ending with a duel against Usopp. It's, I feel like if they beefed up those minigames, it would be like a Pokemon Coliseum type of situation where, yeah, people will be able to have fun battling against each other, but mostly they're going to get together and hang out to play the minigames.
One of the things that's really going to get people to play against each other with their friends, though, is the characters in here, which we started to talk about earlier, and then you broke me, so we stopped. But, I mean, obviously, we said you've got Luffy, he's the main character. You've got Zoro, who is a pirate who fights with 3 swords. The third one is in his mouth, not wherever you were thinking. That's disgusting. And he's really, really good with all of them. You have Usopp, who is a liar, scaredy cat who wants everybody to think he is the greatest, but also kind of is the greatest in a lot of ways and is a really good shot. You've got Sanji, who is the most womanizing fan service portal character in the show up until he maybe isn't, and that's only because somebody gets worse than him. He doesn't get any better. But also he refuses to punch anybody in a fight because somebody once told him that hands are only for cooking, not for fighting. So all he does is kick. You've got
This show
Tony
is full of weird stuff like that.
I know. Like, you've got Tony Chopper, the reindeer, who might be a deer depending on what translation and dub you're paying attention to at the moment, but also wants everybody to love him, but also tries to downplay it whenever anybody does express love for him because he can't take that attention that he wants so much. I mean, you mentioned Nico Robin. I can't remember where she was in her character journey at this point because it was a long time ago for me, but I had friends who would say, Chris, Vivi is great, but Nico Robin's where it's at. And I never believed them that I would love her as much as I love Princess Vivi. And they were right. Josh, you were right. You've got a clown that can pull himself apart like Legos and put himself back together, who doesn't really have any redeeming qualities. He's just silly. Like, everybody in here is that kind of character that is just, yes, they're weird. You can see where they would be the worst character ever, but also the best character ever.
Despite all of that, it really is very strange to me that when they do the popularity contest, everybody voting for the favorite One Piece character, Luffy still ends up on top, despite how everybody has their own weird thing and seems like they could be the main character of their own anime.
He is just so wholesome and wonderful, and once he decides that he is your friend, then he is going to do anything to help you out, no matter what it takes, no matter what sacrifices he has to make for himself. And if that means that he is going to let you punch him in the face and then he runs away pretending to be scared so that you will look good in front of the people that he hates, but you know that you want to actually spend the rest of your career with, he's going to do it. We would all be extremely lucky to have a friend as good as Luffy. Also, he has no romantic interest in anybody at all, so he won't get in your way of whoever you decided you want to date. So as we start to wrap things up here, what do you think are the big things that this game really gets right looking at One Piece?
That's very hard to answer, because I think that there's so much about it that is just basically a very limited adaptation. But the things it does add, I feel that its work with support characters is very telling to who those characters that they give to those people are. Luffy has these weird animals, and that becomes so important based on just knowing that later on that this guy very often befriends just local animals, and it's just cool. And sometimes they'll come back and they'll help him in a pinch, and it's just, I don't know, like the fact that one of the support characters, was it for Buggy or was it for Bon Clay? But it was Lasso, the gun that ate a fruit and became a dog.
Oh, that was for Bon Clay.
Yeah, it's just there. You see so very little of that dog, and you want to see more. So just like having him inside a fun little game and seeing what this little thing would look like if it was just a little bit more cuter, and also firing off a lot in a 3D environment, that's a gift. I think that I had a lot more fun with that and certain character interactions, but even the character interactions that were kind of off. For Nico Robin's story mode, she's a bitch. Like, a total, 20-inch pizza pie of bitcheroni. Just the meanest ever, especially to Chopper. It's such a very weird characterization of her. And it's like, they're just kind of calling a shot, The thing that they know about her as they're making this is that, she's a bad guy. So it's just it feels like a different character. And it's this isn't a thing that they attempted when they did this adaptation. because they didn't know that there was going to be another dub that would get things a little bit closer. And they didn't know that they would, the current dub that was doing it was not going to reach the same level, like, of the anime before they stopped production on it. And I don't know. I'm saying that I enjoy it for everything that it ended up being, more than I enjoy it for how it adapts the source material.
You're right, though. This one is in a really weird spot, fully because it was based on something where a large portion of the audience had only seen half the material. So, I mean, with that in mind, I think the characterization of everybody is about as spot on as you could expect, considering that they reworked this for an American audience. Like, there's nothing super glaringly weird. I mean, we all over here knew Nico Robin as a bad guy. So, yeah, she's being a bitch, but also she's a bad guy. What else do you expect? I'm sorry, Robin, I didn't mean it. What do you think this one really gets wrong looking at One Piece outside of the 100 episodes behind the anime reworkings?
Outside of that, I think that what it gets wrong is, I think how it's set up. I think that certain story modes are following a direct path, and others are going in a different direction that is more fanficky. And I don't know, it feels like all of the parts that are going towards, like, following the canon aren't really hitting the same kind of story beats or, iconic lines, or really, like, any kind of moments, like, between them. But the things that are fanficky, I feel like they don't go hard enough. I would really like it if, like, you went through everything as one of the bad guys, and you have, like, a bad guy ending, and it's, you actually get to see kind of, like, what they would end up doing if they just kind of, like, ended up the king of the pirates themselves. Like, it would be a nice little fun look at that, but all you get when you beat the story mode is just 3 seconds of animation from the anime and a dub over everything that says something really cool. I feel like that gets everything wrong, because it doesn't do enough. It's just snapshots. You could get the same effect from a Topps trading card from One Piece. I don't know if they've ever made it, but I don't know. It was still in the, early to mid-2000s, so there were still, Yu-Gi-Oh! Collector price guides being released around that time.
Yeah, for a show that is the epitome of go big or go home, this game does not really go big. And I will admit, I did not go hunt down the Japanese version of this to make any kind of comparison. I wanted to come in here and strictly look at the American one because, I mean, that's what the show is about here. The show being Play Comics, not the show being One Piece. And, like, at some point, I'm going to go back and I'll look at the Japanese game and get some kind of comparison thing going and maybe make a video about that or something. But, like, this one, it's in a weird spot where there's a lot of stuff that's not really right for when it came out, for what was available worldwide, but was available to the market that this one was for. And now that everybody is well past that point in time where the Japanese anime was, like, this is just a really, really weird, but also it works, but also what kind of spot. So I think this is one where you just really have to look at the game for what it is, and you can't really judge it for what it could or should be.
I don't think I have anything better to add than that.
Well, if you knew somebody who wanted to get into One Piece, and you could not tell them to listen to your own podcast because that would be cheating, because obviously that is a correct answer, would you give them this game as part of a primer course to get into One Piece?
I would not. It definitely would be a fun thing for someone who is a little bit further along into One Piece to kind of go back to, but I don't think that this is a great first exposure.
I'm with you. And for me, it's all about the game length and stuff. Like if this was a normal Street Fighter or Dragon Ball Z packed in level game, then yeah, sure, take a look at this one. That's fine. Like it's jumping you into the middle of the story. I say middle, but it's probably like 15% into the story. But, you know, you can deal with that. But this one is just so light on story and everything. It's go watch the Netflix live action. And then if you like that, jump into the anime. But finally, if we're going to add some new people to Luffy's crew because Luffy's picking up new people for his crew all the time. So what's weird about that? What 2 or 3 Muppets do you think that Luffy would see and say, holy crap, you're joining my crew?
Very, very good question. Well, I think Sweetums, first of all, because of his size, and ability to be very sweet and fuzzy. I think next definitely would be, I don't think he intends to go out there, but I think Rizzo does get involved. And let's see here. I don't think there's a lot of Muppets that Luffy would get along with.
Luffy is a Muppet.
Yeah, that's probably what would really make it worse for everyone else. A Muppet that even Muppets can't stand. I mean, I think that like a lot of them don't have the kind of level of patience that you would need. I don't know.
I think Oscar the Grouch would be amazing. You might have to put him in something besides a trash can, but just his ability to pull anything out of that trash can that you need would be so helpful for the crew.
I think Gonzo would appreciate him for who he is. And maybe
Rizzo's already there.
Yeah, there's got to be a Gonzo Rizzo adventure. Yeah, I think those are my answers. I'm locking it in.
Well, Janine, it has been great talking to you about all of this. If people want to hear more from you, where else can they find you around the internet?
Well, you could be able to find me on Blue Sky, JanineJuliette.bisky.social. I'm also on Instagram, Janine is dope, but I'm very bad at posting on there. I do the podcast Domance Dawn with Luke. That we mentioned before. That's where we watch Simpsons, we watch One Piece, and we do funny things about it. I also do another podcast with my friend Flighty Buttlass that is Wrestle Girlies. It updates whenever the fuck I want, so get off my back about it.
I don't know anything about that kind of schedule at all. Looking at Sugar Spite and everything is fine. But as always, we'll have links to all that stuff down in the show notes because clicking links is so much easier than trying to remember how to spell things. As for me, the best place to find me is over on playcomics.com where there's links to all the social media things, which is mostly Threads and Blue Sky, or Blue Sky and Threads. I don't know, whatever order I'm doing it in this week. I don't know, it's weird. We'll get it figured out. Or I'll just be on both. I don't do the same thing on both, so you can follow on both and it's actually worth it. If you want to be on the show, then there's a list of things down in the show notes that I'm looking to get booked the soonest. Or if you just want to get updated when I update that list, then you can sign up for the little newsletter thing. And it's going to completely tank my metrics when you find something that you want to get on for and then you unsubscribe from the newsletter. But I don't care because I'm not doing it for the metrics. I'm doing it to make things easy for you so that I can find guests. Because if it's easy for me to find guests, then that's also easy for me, which makes sense because it's easy for me to find guests. Anyway, when the guests come find me, it's really easy. If you want to support the show, because it does unfortunately cost money to run a podcast, you can be like Dan McMahon or Ono Lit Class and give the show money, or you can just share the show with your friends or your enemies or random people on the street, or that nice old lady who just really wants to give you cookies and lemonade and you don't know why, but they're really good, so you're going to keep taking them, and maybe she'll be leaving you something in her will. I don't know. So yeah, make it worth it. Share the podcast with her. Don't forget that Play Comics is a part of the GinnaGeek.com network, home to such other wonderful shows as Capes on the Couch, where, you know, I still like them, even though they haven't done a Spider-Gwen episode. Really? Come on, guys. I think it's been about time now. If you want to hear Carrington, Martin, and me talk about all of those lessons that we should have learned when we were kids from cartoons and stuff, especially the ones that we're just conveniently supposed to forget about now, then the thing that you want to go check out is Sugar Spite and Everything is Fine, which, just like Wrestle Girlies here, is kind of on a sporadic whenever we get around to it release schedule. I'm sorry, that's just the way that one's going to be for that. If you like the music that I'm rudely talking on top of right now, head on over to backytrack.gg and check out all the great stuff they have over there. Most of all, just grab a game, grab a stack of comics, and go find yourself a new favorite character. And today, I forgot if I turned the fan off.